so much stuff floating around. I don't know. People trying to say they wasn't together.
Basically was trying to get into a threesome. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another experience known as the Kay and Manny Show. I'm the one they call Manny. She is the lady of all K's. How you doing, Lady Kay?
I am good, Manny. Thank you for asking. I'm excited, Manny. You know why I'm excited?
Because I got a do-rag on?
No. I'm excited because today we're going to be doing this recap of the PowerCouple Series. Let me tell you something. All four couples, they bought something. Oh my God, listen.
Yeah,
I'm
they bought
still
something
like
different.
Listen, I'm still thinking about over some of the things that they said. It was really hitting some key points in relationships, and not just the relationship part of what a power couple really need and the stance behind it. So again, I'm just excited today that we can talk about this with our audience. And as we are talking, you are going to see a little clip of of each one of what the most that was like heartfelt to us or that stood out the most, because it's like this is a great thing, and we just want to make sure that moving forward, especially in 2021, that the message is to better our relationship. And this is why when you were seeing the promo videos, I would ask you questions like with Rio and Mika, because that's who we're going to start with. I asked you, I said, are you a team with your mate? Are you doing certain things that you don't even realize that may affect the relationship? And mostly, I have to say this too, because I love what Rio did. Rio said, a lot of times when people come into relationships, you're just looking to what can that person bring me? And the fact that he said in the beginning that he poured into his wife, he just kept pouring into her. And guess what? When you keep pouring into a person, they just become receptive to what you are giving them eventually, because they see, okay, this person is constantly just giving. This person's not asking, because I think what happened naturally, you just give back. And I think that's a dynamic flow, because a lot of people love to force, and you can't force, and you definitely can't force love. But one thing that Rio said that stuck out to me, and I'm going to look at my notes because, yes, I got a notebook, because my mentor says a short pencil beats a long-term memory, okay? So Rio said, and I'm going to show this clip too. Rio said, the difference, he said something about the difference between being attached and being in love. And I was like, woo! Yeah. So I know I paraphrased it, but let's take a minute and watch this clip real quick.
One thing I love to add is that in addition to what she said, I believe that we aren't at a place like we used to be where we're attached. We're actually in love. And I think there's a difference between that. I think that people become attached to one another and they have to fit inside that person's box because they're attached to them, right? So if you climb too high, I need you to come back to my level. Or if you go too much, I start getting jealous, right? They're attached. They're not really in a relationship. We really want to build a relationship together. So with the strengths that Mika has, I'm her biggest supporter. I'm her biggest cheerleader. No matter what that looks like, I believe she's individually wonderful. And I believe she's individually powerful. And I respect that about her. And the same thing with me. And I think when two people can live their most powerful life together without pulling each other in any direction, they allow each other to flourish and live, I think you're on a good foundation to build what you would call a power couple type dynamic for sure.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you for that. But I have a quick question for you. Mia and Rika, who do you think was in love first? Who's willing to admit that?
Him.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait.
His mom would play that too. She said he was.
Listen, I'm not gonna deny that. I'm not want to do that. But my brother Manny, I know you. Sometimes I don't want to get you in trouble. I'll speak for myself. I don't want to get Manny in trouble. But sometimes the stories sometimes they change a little as time goes by. I remember being on the phone one night and Mika saying, I said, Mika, it's okay to say you love me. It's okay to say, because I hear you want to say it. You can actually say it. And she said,
really?
I love you. I actually love you. And I thought that was so sweet, so wonderful. Because, you know,
I might have said, I think I am, but I probably didn't come out and say, I am. There's a difference.
Yeah. But to answer your question, I really felt something deeper than love. And I know it sounds crazy. When I wasn't dating with intention, I felt a responsibility to her too. I felt like I had to make sure I was on my best game. And I really felt, I'm not sure how you guys go spiritually, but in my heart and my mind, I knew that this was a special assignment for me. So I took it very seriously. And I think when people get in relationships, it's like, what can you do for me? Or like, what can I get out of this for me? But I was more about pouring out love, pouring out affection, pouring out support. So I was in a place where I wanted to pour it out instead of having to receive all of it. So it really, so I would say that the love thing was there really early in the game. I knew this was my power mate really early, very early.
That's actually great, you know, because I'll tell you the truth. He really explained it. He really explained it on the fact on what's the difference between being attached to somebody and being in love. I mean, he really brought out the fact that you have to be a big supporter of your power mate. And coming from somebody who's also from Dallas, like myself, that's really, really big. That's really, really big because
what is it with you Dallas boys? Oh my God, because y'all was having a whole conversation. Me and Mika just sitting there patiently waiting, like, okay, y'all finished with that Dallas conversation because you know I can't front because y'all from Dallas, and Mika, she lived in New York at one point because y'all know I'm from New York. I know y'all hear my accent. I can't help it, but y'all was really going in and having a blast.
We were having a blast because let's be real. It's very similar situation that I know. Whereas, let's be real. They met on social media, but it was like a great experience altogether because they had something in common. They love to travel. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because
absolutely.
that was the spark that began everything for them. You know what I mean? So it's just, I don't know. It was just really, really good. And again, for someone from Dallas who's also from Dallas. I mean, he will say everything, and I know exactly what he meant.
Right. And then also, too, what I wanted to say is that, I was able definitely to relate to Mika, when she was saying how she's the strategist. Like I said, at one point she lived in New York. And, we both have Caribbean backgrounds. So I was able to identify with her as well. So I think that's a great thing when that happens and you're able to be on the same page and say, yes, I can definitely relate because everybody relates to everyone differently. So I really love their energy. They brought like that fun side to them, even though they're serious and they work, but I just love it when you can just have fun with your mate because that's what you want. You can't just be a stickler all the time, And then, like you said, when Rio was talking about the jealousy part, sometimes people let that like take control over their life and you just be so obsessed with that person. It's like, and that's not love. You know what I'm trying to say? Now, it's okay to feel like a little like, okay, why that guy in my baby face? You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day that your baby's going home with you. You know what I'm saying? So there's a borderline of healthy, having a little jealous. The obsession, that's completely different. So what's that movie that Beyonce played in and she had that crazy girl following her husband?
Yeah,
that was obsession, right? Obsession?
I think that's what because it had Idris Elba in there as well.
Did you ever see that movie?
I did a long time ago.
Listen, she was crazy, and that's what happens sometimes. So I don't want no one like that. That's very unhealthy.
No, don't, because there's nothing worse than a woman coming out of wherever and talking about surprise. No, this ain't no surprise. That's a lot. No, get away from my house.
Right.
No, I mean, I don't know if anybody here had a stalker before, but that's the worst.
Yeah.
Like if someone calls you up talking about hey, I'm here. What do you mean you're here? Oh, I'm outside your house.
But wait a minute.
Why are you outside my house?
Wait a minute. I know this is different. So what if your girl just wanted to surprise you? She just popped up and came. Is that stalkerish? Because you said she don't live too close to you, right?
It depends. Huh? It depends. And the reason why I say it depends, it's just, for one, if she comes over and you're just doing nothing, okay. But if you're doing something you had no business doing, then yeah, they would be like, why are you here? You know what I mean? Because sometimes when you're a first mate, that's a little weird. You know what I mean?
I get that, but wait, I gotta intercept. What do you mean she coming? You doing something you're not supposed to do? You gotta elaborate because you just put yourself in hot waters.
No, I didn't put myself anywhere.
Okay, I'm just. You were just someone. She coming over.
I'm speaking from a perspective.
Okay.
Of other men.
All right, just making
That's
sure.
all I'm doing.
All right,
I'm not putting myself anywhere. Don't worry. I'm not. No.
Manny, I'm just pulling your leg. But again, we definitely appreciate what Rio and Mika bought. So now we're going to talk about the lovely Tom and I'm sorry, you saw me the lovely Tom, the lovely Diane and Tom. And let me look at my notes real quick because again, I don't remember everything, but I do like their energy because Tom is the type of person, he's involved in politics, and Diane, she comes with a different approach. She's all about helping divorced women, and hopefully pretty soon she's gonna be helping divorced men because that is her plan. But what I like how they have do two different things, but they're able to come together and respect each other's work. I love that part because a lot of people, they don't respect their spouse's work. Like, perfect example, somebody that I know, she loves what she does, and her husband does not give her that support. He's not supportive at all. So I can imagine only how people feel when that spouse is not supportive of what you do. But this is not the problem for Tom and Diane. And then also too, I love when Tom, he mentioned something, right? He said when he first met her, of course he was in another relationship. He didn't approach her, but he saw her. He knew who she was. But when he came out of that relationship, time went past. It wasn't like it was right away. And he said, they connected. But one thing I love about what Miss Diane said, I wouldn't even allow him to approach me if he was still in that current relationship. Let me tell you something. A round of applause and all hand down to you, Miss Diane, because I totally respect that. And that just tells you a lot about your character. There are a lot of women that will deal with a man that has unfinished business. And I'm sorry, me personally, I don't respect those type of women. I don't care. I just don't care. You just don't do that. You don't interfere with a married man, no matter what the situation is. I don't care if he's still living in the house with his spouse and they are separated. Guess what? He's still married. I don't care if he just freshly moved out the house and they still have untied business. Guess what? He's still married. I don't care when it's fresh and new. Now, I understand there are circumstances, and this is crazy, that people, they have been married for 10 years, right? But they have not been together, not have seen each other, have no contact. That's a little kind of different. But when you see it, it's like, come on now. But at the same time, too, at the end of the day, if you want a little bit more, then why are you dealing with it? That's just messy. That's just a hot mess. Excuse my French, but I just had to go there. I'm sorry, Manny. You had something to say that you want to piggyback?
Well, one thing I will say is I have to congratulate Tom for actually still being faithful to the woman he married. Because a lot of guys, I'll be real, when they're in a relationship or they're in a situation that they want to get out of, they tend to get out of sooner than they should,
Right.
And that's something that I commend Tom for. However, I do also commend Diane for sticking to the fact that you're not going to get myself or yourself or anyone else in an entanglement. Yes, I use that word.
Right.
And just
entanglement, right.
Right. Yeah. Yes, I use that word, and I don't plan on using that word often. But just off the strength of that, she really showed her true colors and say, hey, you're not going to put me in a situation like that. But with that being said, let's check out a clip from that episode.
Just looking at her, though, she seemed to be a woman that I thought was serious about being who she is. And I knew that if I was able to even talk to her, that I had to be man enough and transparent enough to be able to come to her to say, I'm interested. That did happen a couple of years later. And to be honest with you, when it happened, I would say really it probably was a act of God, to be honest with you, because when I went to meet up with her, I had no intentions in my mind to ask her out, to dinner. I got there and she was writing out some information and something just hit me and said, ask her out to dinner, Tom. And she accepted and we went from there.
So y'all didn't really, so you didn't really approach her right off the bat. You waited a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So why so long?
Well, I was married at the time. And I knew that it wasn't right for me to do something like that at the moment. So I was man enough and I was, how can I say, true to the marriage at that time, that I wasn't going to step out of bounds.
Right.
Which worked well for me because I wasn't going to let him step out of bounds.
And that's a good thing. That shows a lot about your character, Miss Diane.
I have to admit, that was probably out of this whole Power Couple series. Besides Rio, that's also another person who I can pretty much learn a lot from. I mean, I can learn from all four of them, but Tom is definitely someone who I really, really enjoy talking to and everything. And the next few people who I also enjoy talking to, especially the last couple we talked about, but we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I really enjoyed Tom and Diane in this situation.
I did too. And I love how Diane, she was giving him those faces like, what you going to say about me? But right. I know it was just out of love and it was playful because she is a woman, again, who has a high self-esteem. She don't need no one to tell her who she is. She know who she is and she know who she belongs to. And I think that's powerful as long as you carry that as a woman. No one can tell you anything about yourself because, the confidence is resided in you. And that's one thing that I see about Miss Diane. So I just love her spirit. I really do love her spirit. And there was something else that Tom said that real quick, I think I just want to put emphasis on. I think, Tom mentioned this. He said he was really attracted to her seriousness. I like that because a lot of men, they get intimidated when a woman come correct, when a woman is in order, when a woman knows what she wants, and then you still out there trying to play your game, and she's like, nah, I'm gonna nip that in the butt because I don't have time for that. So that spoke volume. And you know what, too? Even though I know they are a mature couple, it doesn't come with age because I know people that's Tom age and they still act like they're 18. So it really comes to the point when your mindset is saying, I really want this. I want a commitment. I want something that I want to be, that I like the person, and that's a key thing, too. Liking the person that you with, not just love, because love will get you stuck in some places that you don't want to get. You can love someone, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be with them. So I'm saying all of this to say that, like and love need to go hand in hand in a great, successful relationship.
Right. And one other thing that I want to kind of piggyback on what you said, a lot of men get intimidated by women's seriousness. Now, I will say this, though, and this is something that I tell guys all the time. Now, if you feel like you're meeting somebody and then all of a sudden you have to step your game up, or if you always have to tell yourself, oh, man, she got it together, I got to step my game up, you already lost. You already lost. I'm sorry. But you have to understand the fact that if you come correct and you already know what you're bringing to the table instead of trying to figure out what you're bringing to the table, there's a huge difference in that. And you have to understand that as a guy trying to court a woman who may be above your league, might be above your league, you have to be confident. Right. And one thing that Tom was to Diane was confident. Right. But we'll get to more on that subject a little bit later.
But I want to piggyback, Manny, on what you just said, because it might have flew over some people's head when you said a man have to say, "Oh, I have to step my game up," and you, like you said, I already lost. But the people who didn't really grasp that, this is how I received it, Manny, that if you got to tell yourself,
Yes.
then it's like, why you have to tell yourself? Because automatically you're going to put yourself in position because like you said, you have to have the confidence. So if you see, oh, she's serious, I step my game up. You see what I'm saying? It's how you talk to yourself.
Right.
I step my game up. That's not, I'm going to step my game up. I step my game up. Oh, she moving. Oh, let me move with her. Oh, she went left. Let me go left too. And you just be in alignment because
Right.
you see what she brings.
Right. And also, let me also make this clear because a lot of people may think, oh, you just, being somebody's puppet. No, that's not.
No.
That's not what we're saying at all.
That's not
what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this, and what also Lady K is saying is this: when you, a guy, meet a woman who has her ish together, I'm trying not to cuss this time, but have her stuff together, and you have to tell yourself you have to get to her level. You already lost because here's the thing: if you naturally get there, knowing that okay, you got this going on, you got this going on, you got this going on, but she has all these other things going on, including then some. But you also have to look at it from a standpoint of this: are you confident within yourself to know that I bring something to the table that's different than what she may seen in the past?
Woo, I like that.
If that so much is there, you're fine. But don't ever tell yourself, oh, I have to step my game up to order to win her affection. No, that's being fake and that's being phony.
Right.
And she's going to see right through that.
Absolutely. But again, that's the piggyback again, and then we're going to move on to the next couple. See, when you do put yourself in that position, that doesn't mean, because you know how a lot of times girls be like, oh, he's dragging his feet, he's not being consistent. When a man does naturally just do, you already caught his eye. So it's like right at that moment, you have his attention. So that's why he's going to do it. You don't even have to tell him nothing because he already sees what he wants. So ladies, if you got that guy and you feel like you got to drag him and let him go. That's too much baggage. You don't need that. You're already trying to do 100 million things already because we are like multitasking people. You don't need that. And that's like having like an extra baby that you don't need. So, boo, if you're going to do that, let it go. So now.
Speaking of babies.
Speaking of babies, yes.
That was good. Woo! That was good. Woo! I like how you did that.
Speaking of babies, our next couple. Oh, my God. Charles and Lashina. This dynamic couple of 7. 7 kids, y'all. I asked Lashina, how do you do that? Listen, I got 2, okay? I already know this. I got an 18-year-old and I got a 5-year-old. The 18-year-old, he cool, but that 5-year-old is like 5 kids in one. I feel like, oh my God, he exhausts me. So, Lashina, if you're watching right now, boo-boo, hands off to you. I give you it all because I don't know how you do it. But that's some great time management right there. What you got to say, Manny?
I'll say this. I mean, a lot of people may get so enthralled on the fact that, oh my God, you got a lot of kids. I mean, shout out to the parents who do have a lot of kids out there because sometimes people see a couple who has X amount of kids, meaning more than 3 or more than 4, more than 5. They just get like like that, and they think it's they think it's like, oh my God, what have you been doing? Have you heard of contraceptives? Have you heard of condoms? Have you heard of birth control? I mean, what you doing? Listen. What is she allowing you to do? Stuff like that. Like, I'll be real with you. My great grandparents, God rest their soul. My great grandparents, God rest their soul. My grandfather, who's no longer with us, he was the first of 19 kids. 19. And my grandmother, I believe she was the 8th of 24.
Let me tell you something, Manny. Can I say something to you?
Go ahead.
Back then, the family dynamic was kind of a lot better than it is now. There was a lot of women who were staying home with the children while the men go out. So, he just thinking, oh, she just home. So, I'm just going to bless her with my seeds. Okay? Did Lady K just say that? Yes, I did, because that was just having fun. But now, okay, in 2021, there are a lot of
Leslie
career
Stone with
women.
that cheese is crazy.
There are a lot of career women, and we are not doing that today. And I am one of them. Let me tell you something. I am not made for that. Let me tell you something. I love kids. I done raised my cousins, my nieces, my nephews. I did all of that. But to have that many of my own, no, not this one.
I mean, in today's society,
it's different.
If you have more than 3
Yeah.
kids, a lot of people would be like, "Wow, you got a lot of kids." And
No,
all actuality, well, I mean, from what I've
four is
seen,
the average. Four is average. Four is, it's okay. Not for me.
4.
Yeah, I see a lot of people with 4 kids, and also too. I
I've
see
seen 2,
hold on.
maybe 3.
Hold on, but I gotta say this too because this is also Charles and Lashina's situation. I
Yeah.
seen where people had kids already, and then they came as one as a blended family. So as Charles was talking about in his story, him and Lashina, they did cultivate this relationship, and then while they stepped away for a little bit, he had a baby on the way, but they came back together. So you're gonna hear it right now in this clip because listen, I want that man to explain himself. I'm not going to ridicule Charles because that's a good man. So listen to this clip, y'all.
Please, let's do it.
And I'm gonna be frank and quite honest. This is the man. He has a child on the way. What do you mean? Or has a child? What do you mean this is the man?
Right.
So right when we were first dating, when we had just met, Charles went back to his home. Well, we started dating. He went back to his hometown to visit during break, and I went back to my hometown. Charles come back 7 months later. He got a baby on the way.
All right, let's fill in the details because
yes,
dating, quote unquote, at the time. Remember, she had the guy back in California who had the jerry curls on top with the braids in the back. I just wanted to fill that in for the work visuals.
Wait, you dated a man with jerry curl?
Jerry curl with the
that
braids
was
in the back.
Then. That was
in the 2000.
We talking our age.
In 83, that was in, not 2000.
So he had the Aaron Lassell tape on, you know what I mean?
He was supposed to be coming,
right,
to visit her in D.C. So in my mind, if he's coming, how are we together?
We had broken up, though. We did break up, but he has a point. So anyways, so I'm thinking in my head, Mom, this the one? The one that got a baby? Got away? This is... But anyways, that left us another day to have a conversation with her.
He was explaining himself correctly. Listen, we came back together. It was the hump, but I needed y'all to hear it from the horse's mouth. But one thing I love about this couple, oh my God, this was God ordained. Listen, the story that happened, that transpired, when their mother kept telling them, no, you two got to get married. And look what they are doing today. They have a dynamic ministry. So, and then what Lashina said, she give her husband all credit because he wear multiple hats. And I respect a man like that because as I said it in the show, if you watch it, if you missed it, you need to go back and watch it. What Lashina was saying, that he wears so many hats. He's also a minister. He helps the kids that, to the followers. And that's what Jesus did. Jesus was a follower to all followers. Now, I'm not putting Charles in that category as Jesus, but we all know that when you are a Christian, you do want to be Christ-like. Unwillingly, not even thinking, because that's what's the desire that's in your heart, and you just naturally come like that. And that's what a lot of people gifts are. Just naturally, we give and we pour into people, and that's like I just told you guys. I done raised my sister, cousins, brothers, all of that, all those people, and I love them. I love kids, but I just don't want all of them by myself. Now, what you gotta say, Manny?
You said something that was a word, and it just went a lot of people's head. Let me explain this to you. Okay. You said he was Christ-like.
Right. Right.
Check this out.
Unconsciously.
And this is free game, people. All right. When you pick a mate, and ladies, when you pick a mate, a lot of people feel like, oh, you got to submit to your husband. Okay, hold on. Or you say the dreaded S word. Understand what your husband is doing. Is your husband doing everything that the church is doing? The Bible talks about a man follows the church.
Right.
So therefore the woman follows the man. It has nothing to do with he has to. It has nothing to do with saying you have to do what I say because you have to follow me. No,
Right.
that's not the case.
But can I intercept?
Go for
Because
it.
I know what you're saying about the church. For the people that want to misinterpret you, that he's trying to say that the man is supposed to submit to Christ because he wants to do what Christ will want him to do. And again, this is just doing it naturally because he chose to go that route. So he wants to do it, and he wants to do it humbly, because we all, that's like it says in the word, Jesus say, be a cheerful giver, and a cheerful giver is just not monetary, it's in all things. But I ain't gonna go there because a lot of people, that Bible, the stuff in the Bible, it goes over their head because they don't understand, they don't have the understanding, and that's what happened like it says in the word, for my lack of people have the lack of understanding. Don't just read the word, study the word, and stop just trying to what's the word I'm looking for? Hate on all Christians, because y'all swear up and down we're supposed to be walking around with our Bibles like we all holy roly. No, that's the image that you have in your head. Please stop.
But that's not what it counts for.
Right. But at the end of the day, I have to say this as well too. Don't come at me. Everybody have different levels, and some people are babes in Christ, and some people are, at a level where, they can, know some of the stuff like the back of their hands. So respect people at their levels. And guess what, too?
Right.
People, let me just take the content out of Christians, right? Let me just take it out. When you take that label off of them, right? It doesn't matter what you do. What are they? They are a human being. Just look at the person as a human being. Now, yes, when you start putting titles up there, yes, it comes with a great responsibility. But at the end of the day, people make mistakes.
Right. People do make mistakes. But also, I want to bring something else about this power couple itself. They said something very, very interesting. And I had to ask them to kind of explain what they meant by that. They say they weren't a power couple. They weren't even a power couple.
Oh,
Remember that?
That's the next one. Oh my gosh. But guess what? This is when high emotional intelligence meet. And I'm talking about Miss Tomei and Daryl.
I would ask you to define, what do you mean by that?
Okay.
I think they're really dynamic.
Okay.
In terms of our ability to have, be, if you want to say, roses that grew through the concrete, because being a person of color in this world, being marginalized, being in communities that are intentionally deprived of resources that they need for the children, families to have safety, to have nutrition. These are not the places that we come from. So that's one of the things to make sure we clear about. Many of our issues are not reflect of our defective as ourselves, but how responding to the injuries that was intentionally given to our parents, our parents, and it trickled already down to who we are and ultimately how we're treating our own children and our relationships.
So I think when I answered the question before, in terms of, I don't define us as a power couple. I say that we are a couple that's empowered by God to do great things. That's what I say.
Oh my gosh, these two, I can sit.
That was a masterclass, and I came
right.
I mean,
okay.
if y'all was watching this, and if you just see what I was going through, I felt like smoke and steam and everything else was coming out of my ears. I was just so overloaded with information. It was like, okay, am I in graduate school? Because I haven't got my undergraduate stuff yet. Because this is it was a master class. Let's put it like
absolutely.
That. It was a master class, and trust me, guys, y'all need if y'all don't have an OG, find an OG like Daryl.
Right, because Daryl brought the fire. And let me tell you this, I love the compliment, because y'all don't know Tomei like I know Tomei. Tomei was calm and she was settled, but that woman is fire, and they just compliment each other so well. But one thing that I love too, how they have just a level of respect, and they allowed each other to speak. They didn't, talk over one another. They didn't try to overpower one another. They didn't try to do that shine, and that's because they have a different mentality. So that's why I say when high emotional intelligence meet, there's no competition, because you're on a totally different level. And you cannot, I'm sorry, you cannot be with a person that has that high intelligence and then you're over here, you know, in the low realm. And that's not to throw any shade. It's just that you can't even comprehend what they're saying. Just like Daryl mentioned in the show, there was at an event and he was speaking and a young lady came up and I told May with the one eye, she came, oh yeah, look, she looking. But Daryl, it went over his head because he wasn't even there. He was focused on his message and what he was supposed to bring that day. You understand what I'm saying? Like a lot of people, it will go over their heads. But that is one thing that I love about this couple. And, you know, they're just unique and they have their own, you know, ways of doing things. And I think that's a great thing because all four of these couples, they brought something different.
Right,
Manny,
absolutely.
I know you wanted to say something. I know I had to go in. But go ahead, Manny. What you had to say about it?
It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, that Daryl. Listen, Daryl, you watching this episode? Salute to you, man. And we would love to, you know, sit down as men and just talk about certain things. You know what I mean? But I also wanted to bring this up. One thing I always did with all our episodes, we played a game. We ended on a light note.
Right.
We ended on a light note. And I have to admit, I'm utterly shocked that two of the men of the power couple love Brianna.
Yes.
I'm like,
yes. Riri is popping.
Brianna.
She is popping. You like Rihanna too. He's like, yeah. I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to put you out there like that, but I know you like you some Riri.
Listen,
Rihanna's
cool,
popping.
There's somebody else that just grabs my attention every time she posts something on Instagram. But we're not going to talk about her. But anyway, just saying.
Right.
Just saying.
But you know what? One thing, Manny, just to go back just a little bit, I love what you said, how, you know, you would love to sit down with a man like Daryl. You know, a lot of men need to come together and have those powerful conversations. Yeah. You know, I feel like sometimes, you know, I'm not knocking y'all, but sometimes I just have endless conversation. It's like, well, where is that going? You know, yes, there's a time to play, but there's also a time just to put on that thinking cap. There's also a time just to be a man. There's also a time just to take responsibility. And just as I told Charles, you know, I commended him for the effort that he put in the community. And we need more men like that. We need men, especially our Black men, to step up their game and not having the Black woman to tell them to do so. Because again, that just feels like she has another child. You understand what I'm saying? Like, come on, we already carry. Sometimes, let me tell you something. Sometimes we have no idea the weight that we carry, especially when we don't feel protected by our men, but we're breaking our neck to protect you. You have no idea how it makes us feel. Now, that's not everybody, because there are some Black men out there that do, but I'm sorry, this generation, I don't get it, because these men, what do you call, I forgot what they call, hobos. There's a lot of hobos out there, and for y'all don't know who hobos is, those are men who do nothing and they just mooch off women, live off of them, take their money and do nothing but give them some extracurricular activity, which I don't do nothing, okay? You don't bring nothing to the table. I have another
word for them, but we'll stick with hobo. And that's H-O-B. And listen, and that's H-O-B-O, okay?
Yes, H-O-B-O.
That's not the other word, all right? Just in case y'all want to come for us, nah. H-O-B-O, okay?
Right. Continue. But, Manny,
one other thing I wanted to point out.
Sure.
It's important that other power couples talk to other power couples as well. Absolutely. And learn from them, because that's the best way to, iron sharpens iron. But Absolutely. One thing I would like to do one of these days is the men, men of these power couples or other power couples like to talk amongst each other, because again, you can garnish so much out of them, and then you can bring to your relationship. However, it's great to, it's great to have, a whole bunch of guys talking whatever, and, like we're in a barbershop. But then there's other times when we have to talk on a serious note, because again, you have to understand, it comes a time and place that we have to learn from each other.
Right.
And what better way to learn from somebody that's like-minded like you, as far as wanting to be a power couple. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, me and Rio. Granted, we are from Dallas, but we learned a lot. I learned a lot from him. And I'm pretty sure he learned a lot from me. And same thing with Tom. I'm pretty sure me and him clicked right away, and we were talking about politics off camera. And I would love to bring him back to the show one of these days. But it was just one of those things where it's just like you learn so much just off talking to some people, and you're just like, oh, wait, they like to talk about this. Well, I'm passionate about that as well. Let's see what their thought process is. You know what I mean?
Oh, and that's to tell you, Manny, that's like you say, you instantly click with Tom. You love Rio. And I have to tell you this, Daryl said hats off to you too, because he has a lot of respect on what we're doing, and he appreciate, and that's like I said in the beginning, I started to do this power couple, and I wanted to start off the year by doing this. We're also going to leave soon, but I just wanted to say this to people. We just started in 2021, but I really just felt in 2021 we just needed some encouragement, some enlightenment, because I know all of us went through some type of hell in 2020, whether it was financially, whether it was a family loss, whatever your situation may have been, but we definitely needed something great, and just to see some powerful people doing some amazing things. I think that was a great way just to start off the month of January. So everyone, I hope you enjoyed it. But before we leave, Manny, I have a question for you.
What's good?
What does power couple mean to you?
Power couple means to me is basically not so much as displaying the title of a power couple. It's knowing who you are, knowing what you can bring to the table, and knowing how to educate others, how to be, proficient in your craft. Meaning, whatever, like for instance, whether you're part of the community, part of the faith, part of politics, you're able to teach that as a couple because you can bring so much to the table, not only individually, but together, y'all can make each other so much better.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times we get so wrapped up on what he say or what she say on the individual label. But when y'all put that together, and then when y'all really see something, whereas say like a Barack Obama or Michelle Obama, it's more powerful that way. And I'm only referring to them two because in my mind, those are the only two power couples that I see that I don't want to say that could do no wrong, but I can really take seriously. You know what I mean?
That's a key word that you can take seriously, because I'm happy to say this. Not to say that they're not, but we already know that these days there's a lot of reality show and they're popular. And I get what some of them are doing, but a lot of people don't.
Just for entertainment. It's just for
it's for entertainment.
Don't look at them as the
right. But wait, please. I want to say this though. Like you said, is someone that they're being serious, right? But when you're trying to say, oh, I'm a power couple, then you allow people to have power over you, because that's what happened in these shows. They can edit and they can make things seem how they wanted to make it seem. And then it makes you look silly and people don't take you seriously. So I just had to say that, because I know a lot of, especially these young kids, when they're looking up to people, they're like, oh, look at this person. And I'm like, that isn't fake.
Thank you. I can go on a completely new episode on how many fake couples I've seen these past 10 years, but we're not.
Yeah, we ain't gonna go there. But we had a blast giving the recap of everyone. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Continue to follow Kay and Manny every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the Lady K Chat Podcast. Where can you find us? You can watch us on IGTV here on Instagram, and you can watch us on YouTube at the Lady K Chat Podcast. Thank you so much, guys, and you have a great day and enjoy the rest of your day. Lady K.